This is a 2025 Honda CR-V FCEV. That is fuel cell electric vehicle, I hope. And I will tell you right away that clearly I am not on my usual route. I am not in my usual state, and I am not alone. To my right is Joe Mazaki, and he is the engineering lead for this fuel cell vehicle from Honda, and he's with me to help me learn more about it. And behind Joe is Matt. Matt is with Honda as well, and a generally good guy, and he's just gonna help, just holistically.
That's right.
So, Joe, at a high level, what are we driving here?
So today we're in Honda's fuel cell electric vehicle. It's powered by both EV battery as well as hydrogen. And
it is a hydrogen electric vehicle. There are others out there, the Hyundai Nexo, the Toyota Mirai, but this is the only one that doubles as a plug-in hybrid vehicle as well.
That's correct. So Honda wanted to offer plug-in capability so that we could offer to the customer the opportunity to plug it in at home, plug it in at work, and then be able to drive about 29 miles on pure electric mode, but then also still have that hydrogen fueling benefit for longer trips. Which
I feel obligated to say is also electric mode. I mean, we're always running off an electric motor here, right? What the hydrogen does is it creates electricity real time to be put in the battery and for the electric motor to use. But this is always electricity, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. So there's no combusting of hydrogen to propel us or anything like that. Looking at the car from the front, it is basically a Honda CR-V. Obviously, the nose isn't the exact same. There are differences in the grille and the shape just a little bit, but you're right in thinking that it looks largely just like any CR-V, and that is the intention. And definitely want to show you what's under this hood, because it is quite a bit different than usual. Well, there it is, your fuel cell and electric motor setup. This is a very different hunk of components than you're used to seeing under the hood of any car, even an EV. There are some familiar things. We do still have a 12-volt battery right here. We do also have our ABS pump right there. Windshield washer fluid is way off the passenger side, easy to get to right here. But this stack, this is a Honda GM shared fuel cell stack right here. And then it's combined with electric motor system, drive system, all that kind of stuff. So this is genuinely a departure from anything under the hood that I've seen before. Very interesting to see. Looking at the car in profile, again, this looks very similar to the Honda CR-V, the standard one, but there are a couple of telltale differences. First of all, you have a door here and a door here. This one, it has a big enough battery pack to be plugged in. Honda says you'll get 29 miles of range on a full charge. But this one has a fuel door button, and that reveals your hydrogen tank refill right here. That is also a departure from what you're used to seeing when you open up a gas door. That is a fairly big wheel, but look at the sidewall you get here. That is healthy. These are 60 series 18-inch wheels. Looking at the car from the back, again, a lot of similarities to the standard CR-V. However, there is one thing you should look at. Right in the back of the passenger side, just ahead of the passenger side rear wheel, is a tailpipe. This has an exhaust. The exhaust is water, but there is an exhaust. That is where it's expelled. Pretty interesting. You have less cargo space in a fuel cell vehicle as opposed to the standard Civic. Noticeably less. This right here is where one of the hydrogen tanks goes. There are two tanks in the fuel cell vehicle, and the two combined is what provide you 270 miles of range. But it does sacrifice some cargo space to do that. Back seat comfort, that's starting to get pretty close to standard CRV. I do have a nice and high seat bottom. I do have plenty of knee room, I'd say a good 4 inches, and I do have headroom as well. There is no moonroof up here, so that helps, but I would say I have a solid 2 inches of headroom, which is nice. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, or 181 centimeters, and I also have less than a 90-degree bend in my knees. You do also get 2 USB Type-C ports right there, and yeah, an armrest with cup holders as well. No problems. To the front. Pretty typical controls on the door right here. You do have 2-position seat memory right there. There's that fuel door button I showed you earlier. The front seat has plenty of adjustment, including lumbar support right there. You can adjust the tilt and telescope manually right there, and there are a couple of buttons to the left of the steering wheel as well. You do have a nice fully digital instrument cluster right there, and I have to say, a smaller than average center display next to that. You do also have paddle shifters, upshift on the right, downshift on the left. However, these adjust brake regeneration. It goes 1 of 4 levels, and getting to the highest level is using the negative paddle right here. Push button start is right here, and there is the digital instrument cluster lit up and the center display lit up. Beneath that, you do have dual zone climate control right there, heated seat. Oh, and I didn't mention we have a heated steering wheel as well, and we also have a wireless smartphone charger, USB Type A, USB Type C, and a cigarette plug style outlet right there. Beneath that, this is your push button Prindle right here, electric parking brake, and this is how you adjust drive modes. Yes, you do have drive modes. You get Sport, Normal, Econ, and Snow. Lovely. We do also have this E button right here. With this button right here, you can change between EV mode, auto mode, which automatically changes between EV and hydrogen, and save mode to save the battery charge for later. I can't put it in EV mode right now because the battery's too low, as you can see right there, but auto, save, EV mode, see, battery's too low. That concludes our brief little interlude inside the PMC where the fuel cell vehicle is built. Let's get back to Joe and to the drive. This is meant to be a vehicle that feels very similar to a standard Honda CR-V hybrid. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the feel of the vehicle is going to be very comparable to our standard petrol or hybrid models.
No, you say standard petrol or hybrid. To me, the two are pretty different. So when you say, I would assume it's a little bit more similar to the hybrid, and I'm stopping for a pretty obvious reason. I have a feeling you know. But if I floor it, oh, interesting. You get an added boost of acceleration feel when we go out of EV mode and into the hybrid or hydrogen mode. So that's interesting to feel that added electrical power when you go into the hydrogen mode. To me, it does feel more similar to the hybrid than the standard gasoline engine. Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair, yes.
Yeah. Part of this driving opportunity was a look at the plant, and the plant is where you guys used to build the Acura NSX, and this is, you know, a very small specialized plant. But I'm curious if you could speak to how much standard CR-V is in this and how much of it is uniquely the fuel cell.
The platform of the vehicle obviously is based on the CR-V vehicle.
Okay.
However, we do optimize globally sourced parts for some components of the CR-V vehicle. The exclusivity, obviously we can't disclose, but what we do see is that really the powertrain is the main significant difference, really centralized on the fuel cell and the EV battery.
We're basically, if I could summarize, we're starting with CR-V structure, but then it's modified as necessary to accommodate the fuel cell powertrain. Is that fair?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. And then what is functioning as the fuel cell component is the fuel cell that is built with General Motors. This is the venture in Brownstown, Michigan, where you guys manufacture these fuel cells. And that's one of those fuel cells in the front of this car, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Can you speak at all to chassis? Is this largely a similar chassis, like the front and rear suspension geometry is the same and those kinds of things, or are there differences there as well?
There are some differences as compared in the chassis as compared to the hybrid model. This vehicle does have a little bit of added weight because of the EV battery.
Sure.
So we've optimized the chassis to accommodate that system.
So it's similar to the hybrid but modified as needed, and that's largely to accept the components of the tanks, I would imagine.
That's correct. The tanks, and then also the regenerative braking system.
Oh.
That is also carryover from a CRV hybrid.
Okay, yeah, understood. Yeah, because what I'm noticing in this car is it does feel a little bit slower reacting than the standard CRV, and the ride is a little bit softer, like we're leaning more towards ride on the ride and handling spectrum here. Is that intentional?
The CRV FCEV does add a little bit more weight as compared to our hybrid CRV.
Okay.
So with that added weight, the design team really wanted to optimize handling and push for more of a balanced linear feel.
Right after this turn, right here, left, right here.
All right, thank you, Matt, for keeping us on course. So, can you speak to how much more weight are we talking about? Are we talking about 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, an undisclosed number? Where are we at weight-wise?
I'll say it's undisclosed, but it's undisclosed at this point.
Okay. Undisclosed, but I'm going to guess, I'm going to speculate, this is not coming from Honda, this is coming from me. I'm going to speculate that my number was about right. So between 500 and 1,000 pounds heavier, that is completely logical when you add plug-in hybrid battery packs that'll give us 30 miles of range. I'm going to assume that that adds a healthy, that's the majority of the weight that's added.
That is the majority of the weight, but it is centrally located, bottom mount in the car.
Right.
So that does help to lower the center of gravity and still give a balanced linear feel.
Would you say that the weight of the hydrogen tanks, because there's 2 hydrogen tanks in this, each one 10,000 psi, if I remember correctly, are those roughly equivalent to a tank of gas?
I don't know if we've actually done that comparison, but I would say it's probably similar weight.
Yeah.
Gas.
Yeah, and then the stack itself, the fuel cell stack itself, that's probably roughly equivalent to an internal combustion engine, but maybe even a touch lighter.
It is actually a touch lighter than our hybrid system.
Yeah.
For the fuel cell.
And what about cooling? Is cooling harder, easier, the same but different?
Cooling for the fuel cell is a little more challenging. We did need a little bit of extra space in the front, and that's why you'll notice from the A-pillar forward, we do have an exclusive front fascia, starting with the hood fenders and also the bumper in the front. Now,
one thing I noticed is when we first got in this car for this short trip, we had pretty close to, I'd say, 7/8 of a tank of hydrogen, and we had about half-life of the battery pack, and it was showing a range of around 200 miles. Can you speak to the range of a full battery, full tank of hydrogen?
Full battery, full tank of hydrogen is going to get you 270 miles combined.
Okay.
And if you're running on EV mode only, again, you're looking at about 29 miles.
Okay. And then, ooh, this is a good reminder that this is a front wheel drive only CRV, and you can in fact peel out if you're in a corner. Good to know.
You gotta try the sport mode still.
Matt is telling me that I should try the sport mode. I am being encouraged to drive more aggressively.
Right. Within speed limits.
Within speed limits, of course, which is what we are going. Now, one thing that's interesting, we're on the interstate right now, and it is generally quiet, generally well isolated, just like the standard CRV was. In fact, I'd say a little bit better. But I'm hearing something. It doesn't sound as quiet as an EV. What is that noise that I'm hearing? It almost sounds like a motor humming, but not an electric motor driving the wheels.
Right, so when you put it into sport mode, we've injected sound into the cabin to kind of give that exhilarating feeling. So if you punch it and you're in sport mode, or if you go to wide open throttle, you're gonna really feel that sport sensation.
Again, I'm being encouraged to drive more aggressively, so I'm in sport mode and I'm gonna floor it. Ah, yes. So it's that sound injected kind of a thing. Got it. All right, we're staying in sport mode. We're gonna accelerate one more time once we get to the stoplight here. So yeah, on the interstate, it was, I had in normal mode for a moment there. Yeah, it is basically as quiet as an electric vehicle. Yeah, now that's good pull right there. You feel good initial pull, and it's nice, consistent linear acceleration because we're already in the hydrogen mode. And yeah, that's respectable. So Joe, is there anything that I haven't covered that you really think we should talk about here? We talked chassis, we talked structure, talked powertrain, of course.
One of the benefits for if you're driving in mountainous areas, it does have the whole deceleration with the paddle shift.
Okay.
Which is very similar to the hybrid model.
Okay.
So we will get some benefit there.
You can just
and
keep
then
going up a little bit farther.
that'll really optimize our regenerative braking.
Right. Now, is the regenerative braking a huge amount different than your hybrid regenerative braking, or is it similar? And the fact that you also feature it here, because I'm using the paddles here to get. So now I've got 4 arrows down. So this is the full regeneration braking you get without actually touching the physical brake, and that feels very similar to the CR-V hybrid to me.
It does operate similarly, but really it's optimized for downhill control because of the added weight of the vehicle.
I see. So even you might not feel more deceleration G, but you're getting more energy out of it because you're going downhill with a heavy vehicle. Gotcha. Well, while admittedly this has been a much shorter than usual drive, it's been really interesting to get a feel of this fuel cell vehicle and have someone with a lot of knowledge to help me think through it. Joe, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.